What's up YouTube, this is Slaan here from Northern Land again, and we are here for the first episode of the new custom Cityblock series. And what we are looking at now, since the last video where I was showing off the new tunnels and stuff like that, is the first Cityblock. I would say it's ready, but what this is now, more than anything, is the base sort of pattern and system that I'm going to use for the sewers and the subway. And every city block that I make from here on will be based off a version of this base tile. So as you can see, it's very plain up top. I've got the old bridge that was in from the other one, which if I just pop out of God mode, most people will be cheering now because it doesn't collapse, but I am starving to death, so we'll quickly pop that back on. But what I really wanted to show you is obviously there's a few slight changes to the city blocks themselves, and since the last video I decided, rather than building the whole thing from the ground up, which I had done previously, was to somehow integrate the new system into the old one. So what I've done is I've spawned a full city using just this city block, but this one in particular is now sitting on top of the landscape, and what it's going to let us do is show you what you can see now. And this is the new sort of system that I was talking about, where basically half of these outside tunnels is going to sit on each city block, and when they connect they will form full tunnels. Now, like I say, I've got the full city already spawned. There's just this one city block itself that's coming out. So what I'll do after giving you a brief look around is go underground in the main city itself and show you how it all connects together. So if I start at the top, the main changes, as I was very excited about the last time, was the addition of the manholes. So all of the main entrances down now have these lovely little vault hatches on with ladders to stop them collapsing. And if I just pop that open, and what this is going to do is take you down into the base system. Now all of these, with a few little tweaks, is pretty much what you have seen before, where this is the intersection tile for the subway level. So we have just a cross shaped pattern, and these are designed to have the subway system flow seamlessly across the whole city. The new addition, which is this outside tunnel, runs right around the outside edge of every single tile, and we also have a new sewer level, at the very bottom. Now this looks rather weird, but the new sewers look absolutely fantastic. These extra tunnels on the outside really give a massive illusion of space where previously there was nothing but stone or concrete, and they shake the system itself up quite a bit when it's all linked together. It's going to get very maze-like, and I don't want people to think when you see the other city later on that these are just going to be empty tunnels. Like I say, I like to have a clean, or what I would describe as a clean prefab, so that when I start making the changes, what I'm going to try and do for each individual city block itself is change something in every single layer. So what we might see, for example, down here is these stone sections that concrete sections, that I'm looking at now. I might bulldoze them completely and make an open sort of platform style area with the metal railings on the floor, so you can see the water flowing underneath. I might add additional pipes. One thing I need to focus on in particular, because I am adamant, I don't know about getting the mini bikes down into this level without a bit of TNT, but I am adamant I'm going to get the mini bikes at the very least into the upper sewer and into the subway. So these are all just basic things that we're used to. There's nothing too much has really changed in the old sort of sections that I've transferred from the old set, but all together, once they start fitting up and we get the city spawned looking whole, like I say, the new tunnels really do have a big impact. So hopefully we can get a bit of an idea of what's going on. And of course the other thing to notice is this is only 25 blocks high, so we shouldn't have any clipping issues whatsoever. I haven't had a single error in testing, because I know that some people are still complaining about the version in the combo pack still not spawning, and I can imagine it gets a bit frustrating for my goalie when he has people asking why the city's floating one block above a layer of air, and the buildings are just hanging there in the sky, and they don't seem to know why, and they think it's a fault with the combo pack, and it's not. It's just the city block blocks are too deep, and if the ground level actually clips into bedrock, then the city blocks themselves won't spawn, and you have the resulting prefabs that would normally spawn in the lots themselves. If you can imagine this layer of destroyed stone and where the sidewalks and stuff are, that won't appear at all, so you will just have buildings hovering in air. So now that we've had a little tour around the outside, this is one perspective that a lot of people won't have seen before, but hopefully it gives you a better sort of idea when you see the bigger tunnels when I go beneath the ground on the rest of the city. Give you a better idea of how I've done what I've done. Now, one thing worth mentioning, if we take a dive down now, is this first layer beneath the roads looks very much like the upper sewer tunnel in the old system, and it's very plain. It's basically just a square grid, excuse me, it's basically just a square grid of tunnels, not a lot breaking it up at the moment, and it's my intention to somehow I can get people into this level quite easily from the custom surface areas, but I will make some connectors. Maybe we'll knock into the wall and then we'll travel directly down, and we'll have it connecting into this area here. So there will be ramps, access ways and ladders and stuff like that, but as you can see, the two half tunnels come together to make quite a wide space, so tearing around here in your mini bike really shouldn't be much of an issue. I think this layer in particular is probably going to be a target for a lot of zombie entity spawners. I don't like the idea of having entity spawners scattered everywhere, because when people are walking across the surface layer, then what they might see is, or what might happen is the zombies are going to trigger beneath the layers of the ground, and it might sort of eat up the zombie spawns itself for the city. So I'll be very choice where I actually place entity spawners, and I'll put a lot more background testing and stuff like that to make sure things are working before this set gets released. So like I say, the only way currently into this particular tunnel is through the manholes on the roads themselves. Now if we travel over into the middle, I don't know why I'm lagging like bloody mental, but if we take a quick look actually at the storm drains, because if I take a quick moment to describe exactly what's going to happen here, is we have 2 storm drains on every outside edge of the road, so that's 8 in total, and we have 5 manholes within the centre of the tile itself, and we have 2 manholes on the road on the east and the south sides to give the illusion that they will be on every street, which you can see here. Now the road the road manholes lead into the upper tunnel, which I was just showing you there, which I was just saying that there's no other way currently to get into that place. These 5 that you'll see in the city blocks themselves, you should be quite familiar with if you have played with the city blocks before, and these will gradually pass down into the subway level and then continue all the way down into the lower sewer on the original sort of areas. Now the storm drains themselves, they go directly straight down into the water area of the new sewer. So here it is. I'm not sure what to do. The little railings that I had in there take up the space that the top layer of ladders taken up. Now if you wanted to climb out, what you would have to do if the railing was in there, and the railing does look better, it looks like a proper little cover, but what you would have to do is actually smash a couple of blocks to get in, and then probably break this little half block here and the block of ducting beneath it, so that you could hop out. If the railing isn't there, then we just need to break this top piece of curb, and we can get to the top of the ladder and climb out there, no problem. But if we just dive down straight into here, this takes us down to the water level. Now this is what I would particularly like myself. I've added things like wood and stuff like that as well, so that you don't have to scoot about too much to get the basics built. I mean, we aren't replacing the need to go out into forests, but there should be little amenities available within inside, and you would expect to see bits of driftwood and stuff like that in here. But this is basically where the new system begins. Now previously this tunnel would have just continued on, that little bridge wouldn't be there, and as you can see, compared to what you would have seen in the preview video, the arrangement is slightly different. There's less bridges, the iron railings are all up there, but already with the trash and that in there, I think these tunnels are really starting to look really cool now. Again, the pattern itself is repeated. There's no breakers, so to speak, but because this layer here requires a little bit more work to access, there's a lot more risk of you getting lost. And once there's zombies down here and it's night time, you'll be running around like a headless chicken trying to find a way to get out, which is the intention. Clever people will make a memory map or examine the sites beforehand. It's just another way to immerse yourself within the city. So as we can see, these tunnels are quite wide as well, but like I say, if you can imagine, we're standing in the border of two connecting city blocks. So this half of the tunnel is on one prefab, this half of the tunnel is on the other. Now if, like I mentioned earlier on, I was to knock this whole wall out and then have the little platform section, when the tiles start being placed together, it's going to break up the sort of repeatedness of the pattern, which I'm very conscious of at the moment. I don't like the idea of all these plain walls and stuff like that, so I want to try and reduce the sort of repetitiveness as much as possible. But one thing in particular that I'm toying the idea with is when we get to these corner parts. This is the corner of one of the prefabs themselves. Things like this, if we take one of the city blocks, when I add the surface layer that has the train tracks that are mounted up on the higher platform, on that particular tile within the sewers, what I'm probably going to do is, not necessarily on that for definite, but as an example, every surface layer that changes will also see changes beneath. So I might dig out this room and make a little control room. We'll get some consoles in there, some of the pipe valves and flanges and stuff like that. It could be like a little junction where some kind of maintenance guy might come down and check for blockages in the pipes, or this could be a control section where he might shut off water supply to a particular part of the city, or I'll come up with all sorts of excuses. And what I will probably do is a fresh video and give you like a 5 or 10 minute tour of each city block as I release them. The main thing for you to be aware of now is from this point onwards, as the foundation for the sewers and the subway is set, and it's very basic, but what it means, all I have to do now is add the new surface layer to this tile, save it under a different name, and make whatever changes beneath the ground that I want to make. And every single prefab that I make will be based off this pattern. So it shouldn't take as long to do the newer tiles as what it has done to sort of build up this new system and integrate it into the old one. So I think I've covered most of the new things to see. I'll just have a quick bomb around for those who are new to the city blocks themselves. And if you've never seen these before, where the hell have you been? Magoli has them in the combo pack now. They're really, even for the people who don't like the idea of just having what is basically a giant loot pinata, threat free, you can avoid the zombies and everything down here. So in some ways it does break the mechanics of the game slightly, but the real benefits from my point of view is when you're playing on a PvP server, it gives a lot of people access to the city without having to worry about getting instantly killed. And like I mentioned earlier, the clever people can have their own little paths and routes through. I would make note of where these little ladders are and such like that, because when the new system comes out, once you start travelling beneath the surface, you are really going to have to be able to keep your bearings, because you will get lost very easily. So how about if I start in the tunnel and we'll just take a quick look through the sections here. So every sort of cross section, if you can imagine a giant invisible plus sign, this would be the centre, and this would be the centre of the city block itself, and this manhole goes directly to the surface. Every one of these cross sections has manhole access directly to the surface, and every one of these tunnels leads up into the old upper sewer. Now the corners of this system take it down into the waterway, and from the waterway we can enter the new tunnels. And we can also, if I just find one, and I'm actually getting lost myself now, but basically these gates are the markers for where the storm drains are. So it's not plain sailing, there's a bit of thought is being put into the pattern, and I hope really that you are enjoying this type of stuff as much as what I am. It's been extremely fun to build, and it's been a long time since I've approached the vanilla style of building a city. The past few months I've worked non-stop on Project Slaan, which is sitting gathering dust at the moment. I'm not sure I'm going to do much more with that up until Alpha 14, but we'll save that discussion for another blog or another video. For now, I hope you like what you are saying, and for those who are familiar with the old Cityblock tiles, we will see the station and the train track sections at the very least make an addition. I have a couple of new designs in mind for how we will drive our mini bikes down into the subway and into the upper sewer level. So over the next couple of weeks, for people who like custom prefabs and for people who like using the combo pack and these custom city blocks, it should be quite an exciting time, and hopefully Alpha 14 should be around soon as well, so we'll see what sort of little trinkets the new blocks and such will bring, and I will work on getting these city blocks converted as soon as possible. It shouldn't take too long. I'm hoping there's not going to be more than 20 or 30 block changes themselves, and that the rest will be just new additions, but we'll see what we can do, and I'll try and shake things up as much as possible. I don't actually like releasing stuff unless there's been some substantial changes, and like I say, I've neglected these city blocks for a while. They're kind of like me bastard stepchild who I refuse to acknowledge until I can be bothered with them. But for now, this is Slaan signing out. I hope you like what you see, and please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. As I mentioned in the forum post, which there'll be a link to in the description, if you have any ideas, if there's anything that you don't like, if there's anything that you would like to see that I haven't thought of, feel free to comment in the videos, feel free to post on the forums or grab a hold of us in the Facebook group, add us on Steam. I'm a very approachable person and I can take criticism. I don't mind people telling us that my stuff's shit, although I will make a note of what you called and track you down and give you a hiding maybe if you're really going to go to town criticising, because I've spent a lot of time on these. So for now, this is going to be Slaan signing off, and hopefully the next time we are watching, we should be seeing a new surface layer and some new sexy entrances into the sewer. So until then, I will catch you later on.